So hey Lawn Care Nation, it's just been just over 1 year now that I've owned this 2021 Exmark Navigator behind me. So it's time to do my long-term use honest review on this unit. So in this video, I'm going to talk about all the good things I like about it, some of the bad things and issues that I've had with it, as well as I'm going to draw some conclusions and comparisons between this and the Walker MT23GHS that I also previously owned. So just a quick disclaimer, the Exmark did send me out this mower free of charge for me to be able to use and test and be able to form an opinion on to share with you guys. So the opinions expressed in this video are solely mine, and I'll be sharing both all of the positive aspects as well as any of the negative aspects that I found with this mower. Okay, so let's take a quick walk around on it. As you can see from it, it's pretty filthy looking at the moment. I didn't bother cleaning it or anything for the video. I just wanted to kind of show how it is. As you can tell, it's pretty filthy, some mud in areas. A lot of dirt and filth all over it. I'm not shy about using it. I don't even baby the machine. I take it out on some of the roughest properties that I have just to put it through its paces and see how it'll hold up. So first things first, let's start off with everything that I really like about the machine. So this particular design here, I really love how compact it is. So I do most of my mowing in my lawn care business is all small residential type properties. So having a really small zero turn type mower such as this one is perfect for those types of scenarios. I'm able to use it on some bigger properties as well, up to like an acre or so that I mow. But if the need arises and I want to put it on some smaller residential properties, I'm able to do that. I really love the integrated bagging system. It's one of the reasons I really wanted one of these types of mowers again after owning a 2007 Walker MT23GHS, which was pretty much the same type of layout of mower. What I really like about these designs is that integrated bagging system and not having any sort of accessory that you have to put on, like bagging kit after the fact that has like a chute or a tube or something sticking out the side of the deck. The fact that this is all integrated, built into the deck with that blower system that goes into the hopper just makes the unit so much more compact and just overall performs a lot better having sort of that assisted blower system where you're not relying on the deck itself to push those clippings into like a bagging system. The deck is really just cutting the lawn or collecting the leaves, directing them into the chute, and then the chute has that powered bagger that takes care of putting all of those clippings into the hopper box in the back. So the really compact design is fantastic. As you can see from my trailer beside it, only that back portion, that's the only part that I can actually fit a mower like this. And as you can probably see from the Navigator here, it's actually a bit too long to fit in there. But the nice thing about these types of mowers with that design where you can completely lift the deck up for servicing the blades and cleaning out the deck if you've got any clogs or anything like that, that allows me to actually transport the mower inside my very small trailer with the deck in an upright position. So that's another huge plus for me in that compactness of its design, is having that full folding up deck design. The next thing I really like about this style of out front type mower with these full true floating decks is the fact that because you're sitting on it with your feet resting on the deck, you can actually get under obstacles that you wouldn't otherwise be able to with a regular zero turn mower. Things like overhanging tree bushes or branches or things like park benches and things like that, you can kind of just get that deck right under there and get a lot more mowing done than you normally otherwise would. The other nice thing, without having sort of a side chute or anything and having it all integrated, is that you can mow and trim. You can see the overhang on one side of the mower is the same as it is on the other side of the mower. So if you want to go along flower beds on one side or go on the other side, you get that equal amount of overhang on both sides. So you can basically go in either direction that you want to when you're mowing a lawn. So absolutely fantastic. That true floating deck design, where basically the deck is completely just hanging there with that full articulating design with the springs that hold all of the weight. Just allows that deck to follow all of the contours on a lawn. I've got a few client properties where the deck or the lawns are very, very uneven, and that deck just follows all of those dips and valleys in a lawn with no scalping and no missed spots. So it's absolutely fantastic in that regard. Okay, so let's talk about performance on this unit. With the Navigator, I am completely pleasantly surprised that no matter what I have thrown at it, with some of the worst conditions and massive amounts of wet leaves, that this unit has not once clogged on me the entire year that I've owned it. I have tried to get this unit clogged, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But yeah, it's been absolutely remarkable to me that it has not clogged once. Now, I think the main difference between this and the Walker in why this performs so much better is that much deeper deck design that the Navigator has, which also means that the chute in the back is a lot larger as well. So having a lot more capacity under that deck to be able to process clippings, and then a much larger chute opening to have those clippings directed into that blower system just makes the whole unit fantastic. So let's lift the deck and take a look underneath. So you can see what I'm talking about here, just how much deeper the deck is on the Navigator versus the Walker design. And again, just that depth of deck translates into the depth of the chute there. So just a much larger opening, and that just really helps as these blades are cutting that lawn or chopping up those leaves, that it all directs it into that really large opening there, and that really helps prevent any of the clogs that happen. Now, another key factor with the clogging is the large diameter blower. So I believe on this unit it's a 10.5-inch blower, but I do think that was about the same as the Walker, but with again having that much deeper deck and the larger chute opening just really helps with having in conjunction with that big massive blower that's there. So another key component to these machines not clogging is how they work in conjunction with this screen up here at the top. Now, both the Navigator and the Walker designs both have a screen up here. And what this does is, as the debris is coming out of that chute there, that screen there stops all of your grass clippings and leaves from coming out through the exhaust ports that allow the air that's generated from that blower. Allows that all to escape, but keeps all the debris inside. Now, when I owned the Walker model, it came with a screen that had square little 1/4 inch holes on it, and they had an optional accessory where you could buy a completely different screen with 1 inch holes on it, and they called it, that was like the tough condition screen to use during, you know, wet grass and all that sort of stuff. And I had purchased one of those and was using that large holed screen all of the time in my mowing with the Walker, and I still would get those clogs with those really tough conditions. So with the Navigator, what they do differently is, instead of offering 2 different screen sizes, they only have the one screen that comes with the machine, but it's got a removable section in the front there. That section there that you see, that strip there, can be removed if you need extra suction, extra help with really tough conditions. So if this top part of the screen here is getting clogged and it's not letting you know, enough of the airflow to escape, that's of course going to cause clogs throughout the system. So you can remove that section there. Let's see if I can pull this off one-handed. So similarly as the Walker, this screen just slides out. But you can see here this section in the front that's removable. There's just some wing nuts here that hold it, so you can remove that on the fly, and basically that can be reversed. So that section of the screen is then sitting back here, and you put the wing nuts back to hold it, but then you've got this whole strip in the front that's wide open, basically in the front of the hopper there, and that's going to allow all the air to circulate along the top there, even if the screen that's sitting along this portion is completely clogged up. So what's super interesting to me about this is, as I mentioned previously, I tried my hardest to get this unit to clog. In fact, I did another YouTube video where I was doing a really tough leaf cleanup during very heavy rain on a property that had some massive leaves covering it, just piles of leaves. And my whole intention for that particular video was to show that you know, you would get clogged. I was very much expecting the unit to clog up, but I was, you know, going to show that you could remove this front section of the screen and then continue mowing, and then that would not you know, allow the unit to clog. That was how I was expecting that day to go. What I found was that the unit didn't clog at all, regardless. I didn't have to remove, and I was practically laughing to myself in that video, because no matter what I tried, I couldn't get the unit to clog. I'll leave a link to that video above in the corner here if you want to check it out and see how it actually performed in that video. But it was just kind of something interesting to note, that in that video I was fully expecting the unit to actually clog, and the point of the video was to show that you could remove that section and be able to mow in those tough conditions, thus preventing clogging, yet the unit wouldn't clog even without removing that front section. So that was pretty mind-blowing to me, and throughout the whole year I have not had to remove that front section regardless of what the conditions. So one of the biggest differences between this unit and the Walker MT23GHS that I owned is just how much more heavy duty this unit is built. It is literally built like a tank. I have put this unit on some of the bumpiest and worst lawns that I have on some commercial properties, and it takes the beating and comes back for more every time. So some of the things that I've accidentally and unfortunately had the chance to test was the durability of the deck. Just in the last week alone, I've had on my commercial property a whole bunch of mole hills in the lawn, which brought up a whole bunch of stones mixed into the lawn surrounding. And as you can see with the blade edge there, it just got completely destroyed from all of the rocks and stones in there. That same property has also had trees fallen, and there's been branches and sticks and stuff with a bunch of debris that I was trying to mow around, and unfortunately didn't see a pretty large branch in some grass, and hit the blades with the grass, and got to test the whole shear pin system that these blades employ. So if you hit something, these little bolts here are what is actually holding the blades from moving, and they're designed to shear or break upon impact. And I had all four shear bolts break that time. Of course, the blades are still, trying to spin as the shafts there are spinning, and you can see the damage there along this baffle from the blades hitting the baffles there, because they are now not secured in their proper position. They weren't going to fly off or anything because they're still held by this large center bolt, but that doesn't hold them or stop them from actually spinning. As you can see, they're attached to this bracket here with the two smaller shear bolts. So one of the other main differences on the Exmark deck is just how big and robust those wheels on the back of the deck are. Those wheels are designed just to roll the deck as you are lifting up and articulating the deck in that sort of upwards position there. You can see how they are just resting on the wheels there, and as you lower the deck down, of course, it rides those wheels until the front wheels make contact on the ground. Now, an important thing to note here is that because I have to transport this mower in the deck or in my trailer with those that deck in that upwards position, one of the things that I found when I had the Walker and I was doing the exact same thing was the Walker had some very skinny little maybe half-inch wide plastic wheels there, and as the mower would be in the trailer and you'd get bouncing and stuff from the trailer, even if it was strapped down, the wheels were constantly breaking on the Walker. It just could not handle being transported with the deck in the upwards position. In contrast with this Walker, after a year of trailering this thing around with the deck always in the upward position, you can see it's still got the exact same original wheels. They have not broken. They're just plastic wheels as well, but just built a lot bigger and beefier, just like the machine overall is just built a lot beefier. So that has been a huge advantage as well. The other really nice aspect of the Navigators is just the ease of maintenance on these units. There's a lot fewer grease points in this versus the Walker machines. I think the Walker is well over 100 different grease points, where this unit is into the like 20s at the most of different grease points that you need. The other nice thing is the ease of being able to do oil changes on this unit. It's got your oil discharge sort of hose right here, which makes putting a pan or something easy to do there. Also, you'll notice these bolts and sort of hinge design on the gas tank there. There's another bolt right up here where you can remove that, and then this whole gas tank actually swings out of the way, and that gives you easy access to get to the oil filter, which is hidden right under there. Completely opens up that side of the motor for maintenance. Very, very simple. On the other side of the mower here, you have easy access to the battery. You've got the starter right there, easily accessible. The hydro reservoir right that the hydro pumps, even with the hopper down, are accessible here. You can tilt the seat forward and still get right to the hydro little release valves there. So if you ever were to have to push the mower out of the way, and if you couldn't lift up on this hopper, as such is the case when I've got the unit inside my trailer with the hopper backed up against the back of the trailer door, I can still access these. If for some reason the unit wouldn't start or move or anything like that, I could still release the hydros and be able to push the unit out of the way without having to lift up on the hopper. So that's another really good design feature. The other really great feature, I think, is the orientation of the motor here. So you'll notice that it's different than it is on the Walkers. They've got the top of the motor or the front of the motor facing this way, with the air intake facing the front of the mower. So that's drawing your cool air from underneath the seat area over the hydros, which is acting to help cool the hydros. The air is then drawn through the motor and then out over the exhaust. So another very cool feature of the Exmark Navigator over the Walker is the integrated mulching baffle design. So with the Navigators, you only have really two deck choices, a 42 and a 48-inch deck. They're both exactly the same design, but what they feature is these movable baffles here, where you can change the position of these baffles to varying degrees, so that you can actually mulch with this particular deck as well. So you'll see here that they're in the completely open position. There's a couple of bolts on the sides there, and a couple of new bolt positions there. So if you remove those bolts from the top side of the deck, you can actually fold these baffles inwards and close them to a point, and that will reduce the amount of grass clippings that go through the bagging system and continue to circulate those grass clippings so that you end up mulching the majority of them. So that's just a super handy feature to be able to have mulching capabilities with these movable baffle system all in one deck, and just makes it super handy to have that in one unit. Okay, so that's about everything that I really like about this mower. So let's now go over all the things that have gone wrong or that I don't like about this mower. So let's check that out. Okay, so having owned this mower now for a year, there have been a couple of minor issues with the machine in that time that I've owned it. The first one was just sort of a fluke type of a thing, and that was that on the drive shaft here that goes from the PTO to the deck. I don't know if you can see all the way there in the front, that junction there. There's a bolt there that is connected to the deck. I was at a client property once, went to engage the blades. That bolt was apparently loose and had come out and gotten lost, and that caused the drive shaft here to disconnect from the deck, except when I went to pull the PTO to turn the blades on. Because it was disconnected, the drive shaft started to flail around here and caused a huge racket. It also damaged a bunch of the parts here, like this sort of housing over here, and just caused a bunch of cosmetic damage. It was all replaced under warranty, and wasn't a huge issue moving forward. Was a simple fix. Just really had to replace that bolt to get up and running again, and then had to wait a week or so for those cosmetic parts to be replaced. So not a huge issue, but just something worth noting. The second issue that I had once was I went to engage the blades again and started to smell a burning smell, burning rubber smell. I turned off the blades, came around here to investigate, and noticed that the belt here, there's two belts side by side. The one on the right had apparently come off one of the pulleys and was kind of sitting off of the pulley. So when I went to engage the blades, it was kind of riding crooked and was starting to burn up and causing that burn smell. Again, I was able to just push the belt back and seat it properly back onto the pulley, and I have not had that issue ever since. So that pretty much covers all the bad stuff, and as you can see, it's all very minor annoyances with it. Just a couple of little things that in terms of like the bolt coming loose and the belt slipping, just all little minor things. So are there any recommendations or things on my wish list for this machine that I wish I had gotten with the machine, or wish that they would have available? Yes, there are. So let's talk about those. Okay, so one of the accessories that is available for this Navigator that I wish I would have gotten, and I would recommend if you are thinking about getting this machine to spend the extra money to get, would be the hydraulic hopper lift accessory that basically would give you a little switch here. You can see the little hydraulic ram pictures there. Would give you a little switch there that you could toggle, and it would hydraulically lift this hopper design. It just makes it so much easier. When this unit is 9.5 bushels, when this thing is packed, it is very heavy. And if you've got a large property that you're doing, particularly in the fall with the leaves, and the unit's filling up and you're having to go and dump it, you're having to stop, get off the machine, get out, manually lift that hopper to dump the debris. It would be so much easier to be able to just back up to the dump spot, press the little switch, and hydraulically have the back door open and the whole unit lift up and dump the unit, and then you're on your way and can continue on your mowing. Just make it so much easier. So that's one accessory that I wish I had gotten with the Exmark Navigator. So the other thing that I wish that they would have available for this unit is a run flat style tire for the drive wheels. As much as I've really liked this wider stance wheel, they worked fantastically. Like I said previously, I haven't gotten this unit stuck once, even mowing in heavy rain with it. It would be nice to be able to have a similar option without the fear or worry about flat tires, especially since the front deck tires are run flat style tires, and that back tail wheel is a airless tire as well. If they had their Exmark Traxxas type tires available for this unit, it would be a fantastic combination. Like I say, there's a couple of rough properties that I do that there's a lot of blackberry bushes, a lot of blackberry runners, and I occasionally you're doing your best to avoid them, but sometimes you don't see them, and those thorns are pretty nasty, and they will get through a large tire like this and cause you to have a flat tire. So having an airless tire like the Traxxas tire for this type of mower would be absolutely fantastic. That's it for this one, guys. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of the Exmark Navigator mower, and if you've ever used one in your lawn care business.